Hello and welcome to a new KStevMath video. This is KStev herself, even though you can't see me because I don't have my camera on, but hopefully you don't mind. I wanted to make a resource for a video that I'm planning to do soon, and in the process of making it I wanted to use Desmos, which is a free online graphing calculator, and I thought, hey, I should show off some of the things that this can do so that people know. I happen to have been recently plugging the TI-84 plus CE calculator, affiliate link in the description if you do need a graphing calculator for school, but maybe you don't actually need to get a calculator yourself, either because your school has some that they let you borrow, or you're not planning to take the ACT or SAT, which I would say is one of the strongest reasons to get a graphing calculator of your own, is so that you learn how to use it and can use it on those tests, and also for going to college and using it in college and things like that. If you just don't feel like right now you need to invest in a graphing calculator, but you know that your math class is going to need you to use a calculator for a variety of reasons, I would strongly recommend Desmos. It has both in a browser application, which is what I'm on right now on my computer, and it also has an app that you can get on your phone. So it is a graphing calculator, but it is so much more user-friendly in a ton of ways than the TI series is, partially just because it's on a computer or on your touchscreen phone so that you can touch to interact with things. So if I want to start with something simple like y equals 3x plus 1, it tries to graph it as I type things in, which can be both cool and distracting. But what it automatically does that you have to go to some effort with a TI calculator to get it to do is it automatically finds the intercepts for you, and I can just click on these to make them continue showing up. Or if instead of looking for those points I wanted to do another line and find where these intersect, again, it just takes a click to find the point of intersection. I'm so impressed that that intersected at integers because I just made those numbers up. But see, we can click all of these points, which I did not know that it would only let me click on them. Like, it's not letting me keep them up if I click on the other line, which is kind of interesting. But it will let you click on them so that you can see what the points are, and that's great. So what are some other things that I like to do with this? Well, because of it changing as you go along, you can actually show some really cool properties of math. So you can talk about even and odd properties really easily. So an odd function has symmetry about the origin. So the top right rotated around to the bottom left, and the top left rotates around to the bottom right. And so y equals x, which is x to the first power, is an odd function. But also because of the way the programming works, if I could type x squared, but I also could just type xx and get a graph that is x squared. This is an even function. Even functions have symmetry on the y-axis. And so what I like to show my students when we start talking about even and odd functions is this back and forth and the similarity between all of our x to the odd powers and all of our x to the even powers. So we've done x, we've done x squared, x cubed would look like this, x to the fourth, x to the fifth, x to the sixth. And as we add more and more, it's really just going to look like it's, you know, changing what's happening on the left side here, right? And so that's super cool, and it kind of drives home this idea not just of even and odd functions, but also once you talk about the leading coefficient test, it drives that home as well, because guess what? If I just add something on the end here, it doesn't change the end behavior that was happening because of all these x's at the beginning. All of those x's at the beginning is what determines what is happening at the end of the graph, but anything we add or subtract next to it, as long as it doesn't have more x's than the first part that we did, it just affects what's in the middle. And it could be that if you're a teacher looking at this actually could also help you understand better how to make graphs. The actual graph that I wanted to make was I wanted to make a new piecewise graph similar to this one that I made a couple years ago in Desmos, where I'm trying to walk through increasing, decreasing, constant, domain range, positive, negative, and zeros. And so that required, well, didn't require, but I decided I wanted to do piecewise graphs for that. And so one of the things I forget almost every time I decide I need a piecewise graph on Desmos is how to put it in. So I thought I'd show that off in case anybody else is wondering the same thing. So if I want to do a piecewise graph, I do the first part of the graph, and then I do a colon, and then I put squiggly brackets around what I want my x's to be. So, no, that's not what I do. Why that dot? Oh, I don't need a colon. See, I forget every time, and I tend to have to look up, because I give up and have to look up what it is I'm supposed to do. So no colon needed, no semicolon. We just need to put the brackets, squiggly brackets next to it. I don't know if other kinds of brackets work. Nope, it's got to be squiggly brackets. But some cool things here that Desmos does is it actually tries to like figure out where you want your parentheses to end and things like that. There's a lot of nice editing things, like if you're like, well, what about entering in fractions? If you just use the slash sign where your question mark button is, then all of a sudden now I have a fraction that I can do. So I can, let's see, will 6 do it? Okay, so now those meet, but I want to have it start at -2 and then go to 0. Oh, that's the wrong way. But see, since it's changing it up as I go along, I can kind of see in real time what I am doing right or wrong, as the case may be. What if I want to do a negative parabola? And so I can do XX, or I can raise it to a power using Shift 6 as a keyboard shortcut, which is the little up arrow looking thing that on a graphing calculator as well. That's the button over on the right side that makes you do an exponent. So I can do that, and let's see, I wanted to make this be up higher. And the other nice thing about doing it this way is if you did decide you wanted to shift left or right, then you could just move it left or right like that. I don't want a shift because I wanted to make this be I'm hoping to make this be a continuous function, so I just need to make it go from 0 to, I don't know, 3? Well, look at that. And then, what should I do next? What's a cool thing we can do? Well, let me also point out some things that we don't encounter quite as often, and so you might be wondering how to put in square roots. Almost all of these, I think, have like shortcuts. I don't know how easy it was to see that, but if I type SQRT, as soon as I put the T in, it changes it to a square root. If you type in sine, it will, like SIN, it will change it to sine. Same with cos, tan, you know, all that jazz. But any function that you're trying to get that you are not guessing the right shortcut or don't want to guess, if you pull up this keyboard at the bottom, then you can use this function menu and see we've got trig functions here. We've got stats, which I have not really done anything with on Desmos, to be honest, so that's cool. Apparently we can do distributions and miscellaneous, so here would be our log and our log base. A root other than square root is here. I don't know what that is. I was curious, but so it should be that just about anything you would want to just show as a graph you can do on here, which is great. And you can also, it also lets you do like a keyboard like this. Here we've got a squared button or just an exponent button. We've got pi. We've got our inequalities, and on the phone, this all works really similarly, that you have this keyboard available to you so that you can do things. So I'm going to finish this. I don't think sine's the way to go here. I think I'd rather try to do a square root function. or actually, no, I'd rather, because I'm going to end up putting this into an increasing and decreasing and constant thing. I'm going to do y equals -3 from 3 to, what did I go to, 5? Okay. And so there's a couple things now that I would do with this to make it look better before I copy and paste it. So one of those things is over here on the right, graph settings. This will help you if you need to zoom in or out. So you can mess with the X and Y axis down here. You actually can change it so that it's a polar graph if you want to. You can put arrows if that's something that floats your boat. You can change whether it's in radians or degrees. You can change the step size. All of these are great for if you're trying to zoom in or zoom out, just like on the TI calculator, except that you get to type them in and see them, I believe, in real time be affected. But what I like to do is change it to projector mode so that everything is bolder. And then we also can edit our colors by going to this gear. And so I like to make them all be the same color in this case so that it looks like one graph. Oh, cool. You can convert to a table. I had not actually seen that that was a thing. I don't know how to make it go back. I just made it go away. Let's undo all of this that I just did. Okay. Convert, you can duplicate, we can make it go away. If you are just on this screen, you also can just hide any of these that you want to, which is nice. And also, you can change what the lines look like. So that would also help if you were doing less than or equal to or things like that. Which also, by the way, you can do inequalities and have shading. And look, it even did the line as a dashed line for me, which is awesome. So really, really cool things that we can do here. And then I would click off of any of them before I copy and paste it. With Windows, they have recently done some cool snipping tools so that it is actually pretty easy to snip something like this and insert it into a PowerPoint. But I personally really like to use Snagit for all my screen capturing needs because you get to drag it like this. And I don't know how, if this is going to record what I'm doing well. I don't know how the interaction that goes. So it automatically has it pasted, and now I'm going to copy it in here and move it right over here. And I maybe needed to, I don't know how the size looks on this since it is a bit longer compared to the other one. But now I can just copy and paste this as well. And now instead of just having one example on this, I now have 2 examples. And I have room for maybe a couple more as well that I can do. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say about Desmos. Oh, duh. Okay, so this is actually like one of the most important parts of Desmos is, yes, it is a graphing calculator, and it's a really cool graphing calculator, largely because of being able to click on the graph instead of having to go through the second calculate menu on the TI calculator, which I will have a video soon going through those steps. But what it also does is just regular math. If you just need to do normal math, it does it. And people either forget about this or just don't know that it's a thing, but anything that you can type in the normal screen on your graphing calculator, you should be able to also type in here, including, putting in fractions, putting in sine, so it's in radians right now. I just typed pi right there in case you missed that. This is in radian mode, so it gave it to me in radians. I could change it to degree mode if I needed to and get it that way. But any of those functions that we saw earlier when I was pointing out what we can do with the graph, we also can do just normal calculations. A couple drawbacks maybe are it's harder to, it may be harder to use like my answer. I guess I can copy paste, so that's nice. There was something I was trying to do with a student the other day that I was like, oh, well, this is a little frustrating. Like if I wanted to do this, but then add something to it, yeah, I don't know what it was, and I think I was on my phone, so maybe that was part of the problem. Like, everything on the phone is a little bit different than using a mouse, of course, so that can be frustrating sometimes. But this is Desmos. It's a really cool, like I said, graphing calculator. And this is not, if you're a teacher, this is not the only cool thing it does. It has a lot of cool activities that they've been working on. I really suggest that you think about doing it, especially since we're doing more remote and digital stuff these days anyway. And I will definitely try to do a video soon of some examples of that as well. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you got something out of it, and have a great day.